Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another rapid fire review session for you. Pew pew. Sorry about the pew pews. I gotta do it. Today we have 4 knives for you. Sometimes I like just doing the reviews in this kind of format where I spend 4 or 5 minutes on 4 knives instead of 4 or 5, whatever it is, instead of spending 10 or 15 minutes on one. Like for example, these two out of the 4 of these, like this is the CRKT Crossbones. It's been reviewed to death. This is a prototype of something that you can order now. So it's just kind of easier just to do some of them this way. And I think you guys do enjoy it. The view counts definitely seem to indicate that. But what do we have here on the table for you today? We have the QSP Pelican. We have the CRKT Crossbones in the new bronze version. We have the Kansept Kryo in D2. And we have the Way of Knife EDC Gearhouse exclusive special Kizer mini Sheepdog. So let's get going. We're just going to go right to left here. First up on the QSP Pelican. So you're looking at about, sorry, I closed out on my own stats up here. You're looking at $117.92 for this. It is a really cool Wharncliffe blade. For this, you are getting a S35 VN blade. You are getting really nice micarta scales. It does come in a few different color combinations. All of them are the same price, but I love the look of this thing for sure. I like me a Warnie. And that's a really cool Wharncliffe. It's a very beefy Wharncliffe, I will say. It is definitely not a dainty Wharncliffe in any sense of the imagination. It's just, I love the look of it. I think it looks really cool. You are getting a titanium pocket clip as well, milled titanium clip, which is really cool. Pretty generous lanyard hole. Really love the look of it. I'm just still not in love with QSP's logo. That's the only thing I don't. I like the little logo on the pivots they do now. That looks really great, but I don't know. I've just never been in love with that logo. They started out as more of a budget company, still are a budget brand pretty much, but they're starting to move up scale a little bit. And I don't know. That logo still looks a bit budgety to me, but that's just me. Very shiny liners. It is nicely milled out. Specs on this thing, you have a blade length. It's pretty large, 3.75 inches, overall length of 8¼ inches. Blade thickness, 0.14 inches. Handle thickness, pretty thick at 0.61 inches. And a weight of 4.7 ounces, according to my scales. Not too bad. It's definitely above that ounce per inch, but it's still not too bad. But ergonomically, this thing is outstanding. It's really, really freaking good. That milled clip, you don't even notice it's there. Just a little bit of jimping on the top of the blade, but it's perfectly placed. Love the ergos on this thing. Also, the blade's pretty good. It is a bit thick behind the edge. It was like 23 thousandths, if I remember correctly. Not crazy thick, but a little on the thick side. Seems to hold up okay. That, judging somebody's heat treat takes a long time, so I can't say that for sure, but I love me a Warnie, and this one's pretty good. It's not the most outstanding slicer in the world, but it's more than good enough. And as I said, if you're looking for a Wharncliffe that doesn't have a super dainty tip you're worried about breaking off, this is a pretty good one. As far as how it carries, put it in a EO Levi's, and yeah, it's not too bad. You got a little bit sticking out. It's obviously not a deep carry clip, but I like the way that looks, honestly, especially on this micarta color. And getting your hand past it, it's not too bad. Yeah, there's a flipper tab sticking out, but it ain't the end of the world. It's not jimped to hell and back, so you don't have to worry about that, catching on your pinky or anything. It is a very thick handle, and it's not a super lightweight knife, but I still think it carries pretty good. So, yeah, really like this one a lot, and the action on it is just redonkulous. This is out of the box. I have not messed with it. I've flipped it many, many times and carried it for a few days. I've actually had this thing for 3 or 4 weeks, but the action is just silly good. Just silly good. Highly recommend. 117 bucks. You're getting a really good value. S35 VN, really nicely done micarta. It doesn't feel like cheap crap micarta. Some of the Chinese micarta can feel pretty crappy. This does not. It feels pretty darn good. So, highly recommend it. 2 thumbs up on this one. Next up, the CRKT Crossbones. Well, I kind of missed out on this the first time around when they first came out. A lot of people I really respect loved them, but I just never got one. Now they came out with this new bronze version, and I liked the look of it, so I went for it. And I'm glad I did. really, really cool little knife. Really cool, kind of largish knife, honestly. It is a fairly large blade on this. It is a little over 3.5 inches, 3.54 inches if you want to be specific. Overall length, just a hair over 8 inches. You have a blade thickness of 0.13 inches and a handle thickness pretty slim at 0.44 inches and a weight just 2.4 ounces. So it's a pretty darn light knife. These are aluminum scales. You are getting Aus-8 steel, which is nothing to write home about, but it ain't too bad. Quality-wise, it feels pretty good. Lockup is fairly late, but it's not an issue. It doesn't go all the way over, so I'm not too stressed out about it, but there is that. If there's one quality issue on it, I would say it's that. But I really love the look of this thing, and I've been carrying it a lot more than I thought I would. It squeaked into my it squeaked into my most carried of last month, which I was really surprised. Nice little deep carry clip. And again, I like the looks a lot, and it is a very good slicer. I've really enjoyed carrying it. I will say one thing, one little caution, and I said this. I'm going to repeat a joke that I made in my last, most carried of last month video when I had this on there. This IKBS thing, they mean that. A lot of times people put IKBS logos on, but they're actually caged bearings. No, these are loose bearings. It's 2020. Why are there loose bearings in this still? Like, I didn't know that was still a thing. I took it apart. I saw it was loose bearings. I very carefully put it back together, and the only servicing I did on it was blowing it out with compressed air and then dribbling some KPL back in there. And that's it. That's all I'm ever going to do with it. Like I said in my most carried video, there are only 3 things in this world I fear, and that is sharks, Brock Lesnar, and loose bearings. So don't do that anymore, guys. We don't need to do that anymore. That's a bit disappointing. And yeah, the lockup's a little late. That strong bar, or the lock bar tension's pretty strong. But other than that, I just really like carrying this thing. I'll show you. It carries extremely well. Put it in EO Levi's. Now, I was worried it was going to be a pocket destroyer because that textured part, lies, the clip lies right on that, but it's not a big deal at all. It hasn't been a problem. But yeah, I'm really enjoying this thing. Is it going to be a keeper forever? Probably not, but I like it. $75, $73.95, I guess, $74. It's pushing the realm of is that okay, but I don't think it's really that bad. It's nothing to have a fit about or anything, but yeah, it's a little expensive for what it is, but not dramatically so. Next up, the Kansept Kryo D2. The Kansept Kryo, that was one of the first models they came out with. It was pretty much universally loved. This is the budget version of it, with D2 steel. This is the carbon fiber. There's also a G10, and I believe there's a micarta as well. This particular version costs $68. It's probably about right. Again, it's kind of the same thing. It's pushing it. The carbon isn't that particularly awesome. It's just, it looks like a laminate. I'm pretty sure it's not carbon all the way through. And it's got the coated blade. I don't like the coated blade, but this is the blackout version. It does come in other colors and stuff. But other than that, it does still have a titanium mill pocket clip, which is probably why it's $68 instead of, down in the 50 range. I guess I probably would rather they just put a bank clip on it and made it more in the 50 range than 68, but it still has that same very, very comfortable ergos that the regular S35VN titanium Kryo does. This is obviously a liner lock instead of a frame lock like the regular one is, but it's still, you thumb flick it, all that stuff. Action is still fantastic. Blade is still really, really good. It's pretty thin behind the edge. It does have a slight bit of a recurve to it, but it's a very, very excellent slicer and excellent ergonomically, and doesn't carry too bad either. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's do some specs first. We have a blade length, fairly large, 3.6 inches. Overall length, just a hair over 8 inches. Blade thickness, pretty thick at 0.15 inches. We have a handle thickness of 0.5 inches and a weight of just a hair over 4 ounces. Now, how does it carry? Let's drop her in the pocket here. This titanium clip, by the way, I will say, it does work even well on thick jeans, which that's kind of a problem you get sometimes with these milled tie clips. They don't fit everything. but this one ain't too bad. Does slide in and out easy because it's just resting on that slick carbon fiber. And yeah, flipper tab, pretty significant sticking out of there. I believe I had the same complaint about the regular Kryo, if I remember correctly. But yeah, that sticks out a bit, but it's not the end of the world or anything. Ergonomically, like I said, it's very good. This is very slick. Keep that in mind if you get the carbon version, but the other ones, are more textured, but you're still locked in there pretty good. I don't think it's going to be a big problem. Yeah, not bad. Like I said, I wish they'd have put a cheaper clip on it and made the knife cheaper, but other than that, it's not bad. It's not super drop shutty, but it ain't too bad. Just a little tiny little wrist flick and it drops. All right, and last up we have this Kizer Mini Sheepdog from Way of Knife / EDC Gearhouse. This is a prototype, so this is S35VN, but the production ones are going to be M390 at $150. But they all come, either you can get this plain jade if you want it, or you can just pick a color and they'll dye it. It's no cost, so you can just pick and choose, or you can dye it yourself if you're one of those people who likes to do it, like me. I really enjoy doing that. This is a flipper delete. The regular Mini Sheepdog, I have one here. You will see it's got this big old flipper on it and no thumb stud. Instead, this is just a thumb stud with a flipper delete. So I'm a fan of that. I also like this kind of polished little crown there. That looks really cool. Yeah, other than the steel, this is exactly what the production ones are going to be like. The production ones are just going to have better steel. And it also has this nice titanium milled clip that does not come on a regular Sheepdog with the Way of Knife EDC Gearhouse logo on it. It's same great ergos. You can kind of choke up because there is no flipper tab there. So I like that as well. I'm definitely going to get one of these. I will say that, and it will be a keeper. It's just awesome. Everything you love about the Mini Sheepdog, but with a flipper delete. And you can choke up on it, which I think is really great for a small knife. Really big knives or really small knives, I like to be able to choke up. Medium-sized ones, I don't really care as much anymore. But really big or really small, I like that option. And this is pretty darn cool, I do have to say. Now, I would probably, even though I like to dye things, leave it just like this because I think it looks great. And I usually am not a fan of jade. I'm usually not a fan of coated blades. But the way they did this stonewash, black wash, whatever you want to call it, and just a particular shade of jade, I think they come out looking a lot darker because these are black liners on the inside, and that jade scale's kind of translucent. These are also a lot more rounded than what you get on a standard Sheepdog. So yeah, they're really smooth and nicely rounded. They just feel a lot more expensive. This is a lot more expensive knife. The regular Sheepdog's in the 50s, and this is 150. So it's 3 times as much, but it has more than 3 times the steel, and it's more than 3 times as better finished. I just really like this. This is a really cool freaking knife. Was not expecting this. Bought something else from Way of Knife, and they figured out who I was, and they included it in the package so I could try it out. I have to send it back, but I'm getting a regular one. I guarantee you that. It's just one of my favorite fifth pocket knives now, brought up to the standard that I think it always should have been. I like this better than the titanium S35 Mini Sheepdog by a significant margin. It's just a really cool knife. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I'll be back with another one of these whenever I get another 4 or 5 knives that I want to package together this way. I've been Brian. Have a good one.